Have you ever surprised yourself by doing something at 70 that you didn't think you still could? Maybe you bent down to tie your shoe, lifted a heavy grocery bag without flinching, or climbed a flight of stairs without needing to pause. In that moment, maybe you smiled to yourself and thought, "Hey, I've still got it." Well, let me tell you something. You do. And if you're between 65 and 80 and still capable of doing certain things, you're not just lucky, you're rare. And very likely, you're on track to reach 90, 95, maybe even 100. Growing older doesn't mean slowing down completely. In fact, some of the strongest, sharpest people I know are in their late 70s and still full of life. They aren't superheroes, and they're not on fancy diets or extreme fitness plans. What they do have is the ability to hold on to a few key abilities, small things that speak volumes about how well their body and mind are aging. Today, I want to talk with you about those quiet little signs, the ones most people overlook, that actually point to longevity. Not because they're flashy or impressive, but because they reveal strength, resilience, and vitality beneath the surface. Let's start with balance. If you can stand on one leg for at least 10 seconds without wobbling too much or holding on to something, that's a big deal. You might not think much of it, but good balance isn't just about staying on your feet. It's about how strong your legs are, how sharp your brain is, and how well your nervous system is still working together as one team. My neighbor Joan, who's 78, does a little balance check every morning while brushing her teeth. One leg, 10 seconds. She says it keeps her in tune with her body and reminds her she's still strong. That simple habit could be a clue to something bigger. Studies show that seniors with good balance are far less likely to experience falls and far more likely to live longer, more independent lives. Another sign is being able to get up from a chair without using your hands. It might sound like nothing special, but it actually shows how strong your lower body still is. Your thighs, hips, and core are all working together, and that strength matters. It keeps you mobile, stable, and able to handle daily life without fear. If you can do this, even slowly, it's a real mark of vitality. I once met a man named Carl, who was 81. And every day he'd challenge himself to sit down and stand back up from the couch 5 times in a row without using his arms. "It's my secret to staying out of a wheelchair," he laughed. And honestly, he's on to something. The stronger your legs and hips are, the more freedom you have to enjoy the life you've built without depending on others for every little thing. If you're doing these things with ease, you're not just aging well, you're aging powerfully. These may seem like ordinary movements, but they're signs of extraordinary aging. Now let's keep going, because there are a few more signs, quiet but powerful, that you might be aging in a way that's setting you up for an incredible, long, and joyful life. Another powerful sign that you're aging like a rare gem is your walking speed. Now that might sound silly at first. Who really pays attention to how fast they're walking, right? But researchers have found something fascinating. Walking speed, especially after age 65, is actually one of the strongest indicators of longevity. If you can walk at a steady, brisk pace without needing to stop and catch your breath every few minutes, it means your heart, lungs, muscles, and even your brain are still working in beautiful sync. I remember watching my friend Samuel, who's 74, stroll through the park one morning. He wasn't rushing or power walking, just moving with purpose, arms swinging, back straight. He said he tries to walk for 30 minutes every day because, in his words, motion is life. And you know what? He's right. Studies have shown that seniors who walk just a little faster than their peers often live longer and have fewer health complications. What's even more amazing is that walking speed reflects more than physical health. It speaks to mental sharpness, coordination, and confidence. You don't have to be fast, you just have to be consistent. So if you can still walk with a steady rhythm and keep up with others your age, you're doing better than most. And you're sending a strong signal to your body that you're in it for the long haul. Now let's talk about memory, because mental sharpness is just as important as physical strength. If you can still recall names, appointments, or where you put your keys without too much frustration, you're showing signs of strong cognitive health. We all have those tip-of-the-tongue moments now and then, but if you're still able to hold conversations, follow a story, or recall details from last week's dinner with the family, that's a wonderful sign. My friend Lorraine, who just turned 80, keeps her mind sharp by doing crossword puzzles every morning. Not because she wants to be the best at them, but because she likes the challenge. She also reads daily, writes in her journal, and loves telling stories about her childhood. And when she talks, you can feel the clarity in her voice and the life in her memories. That mental agility isn't just luck. It's the result of years of staying curious, staying connected, and using her brain like a muscle. So if you're still remembering details, staying mentally engaged, and feeling like yourself most days, you're doing something truly special. You're not just keeping your mind active, you're giving yourself the gift of a longer, brighter future. These signs, walking with strength, remembering with clarity, moving with purpose, aren't flashy. They're not going to make headlines or win awards, but they're exactly the kinds of things that point to deep, lasting health. And if you're still doing them in your late 60s, 70s, or even 80s, well, don't be surprised if you're the one everyone's celebrating when you turn 100. Let's keep going, because there are still a couple more signs you may not even realize you're showing, and they're worth noticing. Another sign that you might just be on track to celebrate your 100th birthday is how well you handle change. That might not sound like a health marker, but believe me, it's one of the quiet strengths that separates those who age well from those who feel stuck or overwhelmed. If you're between 65 and 80 and still curious about new things, willing to try new technology, or open to new routines, even when they feel a little uncomfortable, you're showing incredible resilience. And resilience is directly tied to longevity. It means your mind is flexible, your heart is open, and you haven't let the world make you bitter or afraid. Take my friend Clara, for example. She's 77, and when her grandkids got her a smartphone, she had no idea how to use it. But instead of shrugging it off or saying, "I'm too old for this," she asked questions, took notes, and even started texting emojis. Now she video calls her family every weekend and feels more connected than ever. That kind of adaptability, staying mentally engaged, emotionally open, and socially connected, keeps her young in all the ways that matter. And here's the final, perhaps most beautiful sign that you're one of those rare gems. You still laugh. If you can still find something to smile about, whether it's a silly story, an old memory, or even laughing at yourself, you're giving your body and soul a powerful kind of medicine. Laughter reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, boosts the immune system, and even relaxes your muscles. But more than that, it brings light to your life and to the people around you. If you've kept your sense of humor, even through the harder parts of aging, you're doing something extraordinary. I once met a woman at a senior center who was 95 years old. Her name was Mabel. When I asked her the secret to her long life, she grinned and said, "I never stopped laughing at my own jokes, even when no one else thought they were funny." That spark in her eyes, that joy, was contagious, and I think about her often because she reminded me that attitude is everything. So if you're still walking with purpose, remembering with clarity, learning new things, embracing change, and smiling through life's curveballs, you are, without a doubt, aging with power and grace. You are rare. And yes, you might just be one of those destined to reach 100, not just in years, but in spirit. If any of this felt like a reflection of you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What are the small things you do each day that help you feel alive and well? What keeps you going, keeps you young, keeps you smiling? And if this video made you feel seen or inspired, give it a like, share it with someone you love, and subscribe for more simple, uplifting advice to help you live your best life at any age. Here's to walking strong, thinking clearly, loving deeply, and laughing often. Because aging isn't the end of the story. It's one of the richest, most beautiful chapters yet.